Level 1. The raw feed. The silence on the 40th floor is not peace. It is a power vacuum. You feel the weight of the mahogany under your palms and the scent of luxury leather that now, technically, belongs to you. But the eyes around the oak table are not looking for leadership. They are looking for weakness. You are the unproven variable in a multi-billion-dollar equation. The isolation of the summit is absolute, and you are realizing that at the top, there are no peers, only predators or subordinates. The fragility of sudden succession. Identifying the power vacuum. The transition from an established architect to an unproven heir creates immediate systemic turbulence that the board will exploit as a weakness variable. You are not inheriting an asset. You are inheriting a target-rich environment where your primary logistics involve the containment of internal betrayal. The board's initial silence is not respect, but a tactical calculation of your response latency to see if you possess the coldness required for high-level extraction. The pressure of final decisions feels like a physical weight, a combat fatigue resulting from maneuvering a market that is watching for your first mistake. Questioning if the personal sacrifice of family and health is worth this high cost of power is a luxury you can no longer afford as the architect of the future. Operating in the dark with mute market signals is a systemic silence that indicates the board is already moving against your relevance. Level 2. The specialization. The first lesson of hegemony is that the organizational chart is a fiction for the masses. Real power flows through informal channels, in clandestine meetings where your name is discussed as a systemic risk to be mitigated. To survive, you must stop acting like a lucky heir and start operating as a logistical surgeon. Empathy is a resource drain, a bureaucratic friction that blocks the flow of profit and stalls the machine. 2. Asset shielding and the logistics of internal hostility. Your first operational mandate is the immediate audit of the shadow hierarchy, the informal power structures that bypass the official organizational chart. Research into historic corporate successions reveals that the execution of the old guard is often a prerequisite for stabilizing the long-term vision alignment. Any delay in reorganizing the command chain is interpreted by the board as an invitation to initiate a hostile takeover through orchestrated data silence. The fear that your business model is dying while you maintain appearances is an obsolescence that only a surgical restructuring can fix. The energy of your organization is being drained by internal betrayals. You must unblock these resources to ensure the flow of capital is restored to your command. Establishing a shield for your assets means achieving stability that is independent of external crises or internal sabotage. Level 3. The Operator Protocol. You hear the clinking of crystal in board meetings, a sound that masks the cold brutality of intent. They expect you to seek approval. They expect you to ask for advice like a subordinate. If you do, you become a disposable gear in their machine. The protocol demands you replace the search for consensus with the calculation of strategic leverage. You must realize that the boardroom is not a place for discussion, but a predatory ecosystem where empathy is a logistical leak that drains the organization's energy. Third, decoupling sentiment from strategic leverage. To survive, you must replace the heir narrative with an operator protocol, focusing strictly on the optimization of the operational load rather than seeking consensus. The boardroom is a predatory environment where any sign of emotional hesitation is seen as an opening for a hostile extraction of value. By implementing a systemic confidence model, you signal to the market that the empire's architecture is independent of the founder's ghost and fully integrated into your new command structure. You must move from the mud of daily operations to the heights of strategic command, maintaining a perfect execution that leaves no room for board interference. Every interaction is a calculation. Your goal is the mastery of logistics, transforming the current chaos into a scalable and profitable process. Use the psychology of power to dictate the rules of the sector, ensuring that your intent is clear and your execution is absolute. Level 4. Systemic Mastery. The board is set. The directors operate on a short-term extraction logic, willing to risk the systemic relevance of your $10B empire for immediate dividend spikes. Your countermaneuver is not emotional, it is architectural. You must align the pieces so that your removal would trigger a cascade of institutional instability far more costly than your continued hegemony. Survival in this game is not about being liked, it is about being essential to the machine's survival. The architecture of legacy, neutralizing the board's obsolescence. Board members often operate on a short-term logic that threatens the long-term legacy you are destined to build. Your countermaneuver must involve an elite leverage play, aligning the minority shareholders with your long-term legacy architecture to outflank the executive directors This is a precise calculation of opportunity windows. You must demonstrate that your removal would be more expensive than your dominance. You are no longer fighting for a seat. You are fighting for the absolute control of all variables, ensuring the system responds only to your commands. Every decision must be anchored in systemic facts, geopolitical maneuvers, or market crises, removing any room for the board to claim incompetence. Neutralize their obsolescence by showing that you are the only one capable of navigating the silence of data and the fatigue of market combat. Level final, the system, the master. The transformation is complete. The fear of mediocrity has been replaced by the coldness of execution. You are no longer someone's son. You are the architect of a fortified structure. The board now understands that sabotaging you is sabotaging their own profit. The predator does not ask for permission to lead. He redesigns the ecosystem to ensure total dominance. The hegemony of execution, the cold transition from prey to predator. The ultimate validation of your strategist status occurs when the board's attempts at sabotage are re-engineered into proofs of your systemic dominance. Success in this high-stakes logistics game is not measured by popularity, but by the efficiency of your control over the Empire's vital assets. You have transitioned from being a disposable gear to becoming the indispensable architect of a restructured, fortified global power. Your legacy is no longer at risk. It is anchored in a systemic architecture that transcends the operational mud. The silence of the market has been replaced by the rhythm of a machine that responds only to your command protocols. You have achieved transcendental operation, where the power you wield is no longer a burden, but a calculated instrument of market hegemony. The cost of the summit. Power is not an event, it is a constant logistics. You now hold the $10 billion, but the silence at the top is absolute. Look at the balance sheet and answer with an operator's coldness. Do you have the stomach to maintain this hegemony, or will the system extract you at the next window of opportunity?